Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome to the Battle for Azeroth Beta, the second pass for the Vengeance Demon Hunter, which apparently is the most OP tank in the game right now. Is going to get nerfed according to the internet, so we'll see, I guess. I'm going to go over talent adjustments, spells and abilities that have been lost or gained, what has been kept from your Legion artifacts or legendaries, new graphics, a brief overview of war mode talents, and any GCD changes. No true gameplay is in this series. However, I will definitely get beat on by that tank target dummy. So consider this more of a one-man podcast walkthrough primer of what your spec is going to be like going from Legion into the battle for Azeroth. The entire second pass testing VOD is located down below in the video description box. Down there, it's over on my Twitch channel. And if you want to see the PvP war mode nonsense, I'll talk about it in this video. But if you want to see the nonsense and the builds you can make, go sort of scrub to the end of the VOD and you can see the some dueling shenanigans there. Of course, comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comment section right here on this video. And then, of course, if you are new to the channel and enjoy my ramblings, or you haven't done yet, maybe hit that subscribe button and possibly even the notification bell icon next to subscribe. That will notify you when new videos are posted. All right. Vengeance is still very much vengeance. I'm just going to bring this up right off the bat here just to show you that you haven't had a whole lot of changes. Like the fundamental stuff here, you lost Fell Eruption, which is kind of weird. You lost your stun. Blade Turning, no one took it anyway. And Demonic Infusion is gone. You had some updates. You have a new Charred Flesh talent, Gluttony, and Void Reaver. However, one of them is RNG, one of them is passive, and one of them is what you used to have and you just rolled over into a talent. But more on that later. But just to show you off the bat, that isn't the big bulk of what Vengeance is, right? The talent builds are still there. There will probably be pretty much a cookie cutter build, I'm imagining, though, like two different variations right there. But there is obviously some wiggle room. But to go over that right off the bat, because there's a lot of baseline changes behind the scenes or under the hood or wherever you want to go about it. So, biggest one right off the bat, which is not a big deal, but kind of is, just because it like GCD locks the spec forcefully. You no longer gain pain from taking damage, which I don't know why they just didn't let you just gain pain from taking damage and lower the pain you can gain from your talents and your abilities, because apparently just getting hit in the face is just emotional trauma, but not actually physically pain. I'm not sure. The Empowered Wards, your magic damage reduction ability, where you just activate it, you take less damage to magic, that's been removed. Empowered Wards is gone. Chaos Brand is your new sort of utility raid synergy passive, where your fire damage, only your fire damage, will brand the target, increasing magic damage the target takes by 5%. That, however, is the same as the Havoc has, so you only have to have one Demon Hunter in your party or your raid group or whatever, and then you're good on Chaos Brand, as long as they make sure that debuff stays up. Monks have the same thing for physical damage, but there's 3 monks, there's only 2 Demon Hunters. So a lot of the early scuttlebutt is that, well, I guess there'll be a lot of Vengeance tanks in the future because A, they're so good, and B, Chaos Brand. We'll see. Your Demonic Wards passive, your overall flat damage reduction was reduced to 10%. Probably just an artifact of going from one expansion to the next, of course, new number system. Your stamina and armor remain the same. Here's a big one. So there's a new mechanic overall in Lesser Soul Fragments. Sheer, your main source of building these essentially Vengeance Demon Hunter combo points, and your main source of generating pain, always shatters a lesser fragment. You can have 5 lesser fragments active at a given time. They will do a 8% of previous 5 seconds worth of damage per lesser soul fragment you consume through whatever means, walking through it, using soul cleave, using spirit bomb, whatever you want to do. The minimum heal is 1% of your max health. So a soul cleave in this sense pulls in 2 fragments. So that would be 2 instances of 8% of the previous 5 seconds damage dealt, or 2% of your max health on top of the soul cleave heal. We'll go over that in a moment. Again, only 5 fragments up at a time. When you spawn a 6th, the oldest fragment will automatically be consumed. You don't lose fragments. The whole demon soul thing is all the same, of course. That's not changed. But that moment there is that now the soul fragments, the ones you get when you defeat an opponent, the chance when you defeat an opponent, those are a larger health scale. They're based off your attack power, which is mastery scaling, of course, in this regard. But the lesser fragment system is completely new. And working around that properly for reactionary healing is going to be definitely part of how you'll be playing the Vengeance Demon Hunter in the future. I went over Soul Cleave briefly there. Soul Cleave now is 30 pain. It doesn't have the scaling heal per pain consumed, which I honestly think is probably a mistake, because you're going to find out as this video goes on that you're going to have a ton of pain, but you're just limited by the amount of combo points you have or lesser soul fragments you have to activate and to do with your abilities. So this only costing 30, only healing yourself for a flat amount per hit, which is a good chunk, and the 2 fragments, which will also do the 8% or the 1% maximum health kind of deal, right? That's still there. It's interesting. I almost feel like Soul Cleave should cost more, so you use it less as sort of the, you build to it and you react with it, because right now you just kind of spam it a lot, unless you play Spirit Bomb, but more on that later. Demon Spikes. Go over your mastery real quick. So your mastery now increases the armor bonus of Demon Spikes by a flat percentage, whatever your mastery is. And then, of course, your attack power as well. The overall change to Demon Spikes is that it's 100% of your agility equals armor. It's 100% with also your mastery rolled in equals armor. You still get the additional parry chance, of course. But as you'll see here, my agility is 876. So it's 876 times whatever your Fell Blood armor bonus is. And that's the overall armor you will gain. So my overall armor goes from 509 to 1759, a pretty serious jump. However, the cooldown of Demon Spikes was amplified to 20 seconds, which is up from 15 on live, still lowered by haste, of course. But there's going to be ebbs and flows, more of a teeter-totter here with Demon Spikes, where you're going to have uptime and then not uptime. And timing those windows will definitely be, like, you're not going to want to heal during those. You're going to want to build your fragments, and you're going to want to, when Demon Spikes drops, you're going to heal and react to the damage afterwards. It's a pretty significant, possibly significant, obviously you could parry over and over again and be fine, armor to physical damage taken ratio there. A pretty big jump, right? So my base armor right now is only 26% damage off against a evenly matched enemy, versus Demon Spikes goes up to 55%. It's a really significant difference. And that'll be about average what you're going to see over the course of the expansion. How armor works is it depends on the target you're attacking. So dungeon bosses are +2, the elites. And then raid bosses are always +3. So you'll have to look at your armor value, because even if it says 55% against an evenly matched target, a boss dummy, it'll be like 40%. Because they're 3 levels above you. That's how all the armor and block madness all work now. You can go figure all that stuff out in different Discords or websites that have information. That's just, yeah, it's something ridiculous. But Demon Spikes definitely has a change. Also, it doesn't cost pain anymore, which also leads to the whole, I have a ton of pain, but don't need to use it right now sort of a situation. So Demon Spikes, I think, should just cost like 10, so at least you use some of it. It's still off the global, all that stuff is the same, but it's a pretty big overall change to the back end of how you will be tanking. You have some sigil changes here. So Sigil of Misery, which is your Disorient, is reduced to 20 seconds, down from 30 seconds. I currently have concentrated sigils on right now. You can take whatever you'd like in this category. Concentrated sigils still not buffed at all yet, which is weird because you can make your sigils concentrated without the duration increase just by using @player macros. So quickened sigils usually feel a lot better. And then, of course, Sigil of Chains is still your sort of Vengeance Demon Hunter Death Grip effect. That's still very much there. Fiery Brand is just a baseline 8 seconds now. They didn't upgrade or anything like that. It's just 8-second duration. Still has the 40% less damage the target will do to you. Imprison's cooldown is 45 seconds, up from 15 on live, but down from 60 seconds in previous builds. Your Interrupt, which was Consume magic, is now called Disrupt. Had its range decreased to 10 yards. You still gain 30 pain on a successful interrupt on that 15-second cooldown. And you have a new Purge, which is what is now Consume magic. 30-yard range, 10-second cooldown, offensive, 1 beneficial magic effect Purge. You'll remove it, and you'll grant yourself 20 pain for this as well. I think I said it was 30 pain before in the Havoc video. It's 20 here. It's 30 pain here. So these are big pain jumps, but again, you'll have a lot of pain in your kit regardless, but having the extra utility with a Purge on Demon Hunter is interesting, but we'll see. It was taken from the Death Knight's toolkit, so they're a little bit grumpy about that. But overall, the weird thing I noticed about Vengeance is that its damage is really low, but its survivability is super high. It's not bad DPS. I mean, it's tank DPS, right? If you're playing a tank, you're used to this kind of stuff. But survivability while questing, you're gonna be immune. You'll be so incredibly tanky. It's actually kind of funny that you'll just never take damage while you'll be pulled, I don't know, 4 or 5 things before you even see damage. But I don't have that talent right now. No flame crash. But you're going to see that you're going to have plenty of pain, but you're just waiting for your building up of your fragments. But not too bad. But again, you're not getting pain from taking damage. That pain generating there was from Immolation Aura. I'm going to go get smacked on by this dummy real quick here and show you what I mean about the pain situation here. There is a weird amount of uptime you're going to have with pain that you're just waiting for shards. Because you're going to want to hit a good 5-stack, right? You're going to have time to do that, to keep 5 shards up so you can keep healing yourself back-to-back pretty evenly here. We'll pop one of these out. So you only pull in 2 at a time, of course, with that. But, I mean, this is just, it's really stable. So you can build while you have your Demon Spikes up and then slam down some heals back-to-back. It's 2 in a row. 4 in a row. You know, we'll do 1 more. And then if we're being really cheeky, let's grab 5 shards. We'll grab a Soul Barrier into Fellow Devastation. Big heal reset. Of course, the target enemy gains more and more damage, so it's eventually going to still destroy me. But that's 4 stacks right there. I can probably go to 5 real quick if I used meta. But it's just really sturdy. And it always has little bit of things to juggle, right? You got uptime on sigils. You've got to keep your Immolation Aura going at the proper times. You've got other builds that are going to have a little bit more DPS-focused uptime, I suppose, still. But talent-wise, again, let me bring this up one more time, just so we're on the same page here. So your new talents are Charred Flesh. This is the Fiery Demise artifact talent. So this is a 20% increase in fire damage dealt to the target that is affected by your fiery brand. You can combine this with Burning Alive that makes your fiery brand jump around. So you can have up to 4 targets, I believe, branded. And they'll all take more damage from your fire damage and, of course, deal less damage to you. So for AoE situations, it's definitely a thing. You have Gluttony. This is your Fueled by Pain artifact trait. It's a chance when you eat a soul fragment or lesser soul fragment to activate meta for 5 seconds. So it's good, but it's also, we don't know if it's RPPM or chance based, because you could eat 2 fragments at a time per soul cleave, yank them in, and then never get it. Yank them in, never get it. You can yank 2 in, walk through 3, never get it. Or you can soul cleave, meta, soul cleave, meta. So it's just RNG. Tankiness is kind of strange. Your metamorphosis overall, of course, hasn't been adjusted or anything like that. It hasn't changed for the Vengeance Demon Hunter. 30% health, double your armor, 7 pain per 1 second. And it's sort of a pseudo DPS cooldown because of the pain generation. But it was brought up during the testing that there is no real DPS cooldown for Vengeance. You have to sort of talent charred flesh to have any interaction. Then you got to use one of your DRs as a DPS cooldown, which is what you do on live right now. You just have it baked in baseline. So choosing that, and of course you can still take Razor Spikes, which gives you the physical damage dealt while Demon Spikes are active, but they have less uptime now. But you could take Feed the Demon, which when you consume a Soul Fragment, you could consume more often. You'll have more Demon Spike uptime because you can eat them all the time, and then you have more Razor Spikes. So there's still these wigglings here, right? You can still take Abyssal Strike with Flame Crash and Concentrated Sigils and Goomba Stomp and keep putting down your Flame Sigils for their uptime, and that's totally there. But meta is such a powerful cooldown to use when you need it. I don't think you're going to use this for DPS, so maybe Gluttony is there for giving you extra pain generation for extra DPS, kind of. Fel Devastation, as you saw right there, is still a super big, crazy, chunky heal, combined with the new updated Soul Barrier, which I'll go over your updated talents here now. And Soul Barrier is no longer the weird baseline shield. It consumes all soul fragments, so it can add up to 5 when you cast it on a 30-second cooldown. It doesn't cost any pain anymore either. This is, whoops, sorry about that. I clicked off the screen. This is a huge, big old, chunky, essentially it's guard, but this version of guard is made for Vengeance, whereas the new guard for Brewmaster is a stagger interaction. But Soul Barrier is strong, and I think it works really well combined with Fel Devastations because you put up a big shield and then you heal behind the shield. You've also got your Demon Spikes up, so you take less damage when your shield's up because multiplicative damage reductions inside your absorbs work together, right? So if you don't know how all that works, that's a totally different topic, but if you have DRs up behind an absorb, the absorb affects with the DR. So, and of course you're taking a whole lot less physical damage with a lot more armor on Demon Spikes, so... But Fel Devastation is there. You have no longer cost pain. This is free now. Soul Barrier also free now. Again, they took away pain costs from abilities, but you don't really need to have that. You have a lot of pain you can get anyway. Void Reaver is one of your new talents updated in a way. This is kind of like the Pain Bringer artifact trait, where you just soul cleave anything and it just deals less damage to you for 12 seconds, which can be up all the time. Last Resort, unchanged. And Spirit Bomb. Might as well talk about Spirit Bomb now. We'll grab Quick Hitting Sigils real quick here too. So Spirit Bomb, this talent, costs 30 pain and up from 0. So they moved some of the cost into this one because it was so popular. It'll consume up to 5 soul fragments. The frailty debuff was reduced from a 20% to 10% healing, or the leech, I suppose, the AoE leech you have. And it still deals fire damage per fragment that you consume. However, I don't know if you're going to want to spam Spirit Bomb, because its damage is stronger, but its overall healing is technically less than Soul Cleave. So again, Soul Cleave has a flat heal now, just based on your AP and your mastery in that regard. Per use, no scaling nonsense, right? And of course, pulls in 2 fragments. Spirit Bomb just pulls in all 5 fragments, and then you'll heal for 10% of that explosion damage on all targets you hit. And again, this goes into the build where you're going to have a ton of pain, right? You're going to just have too much, because you're waiting to build back up to 5, so you're going to cap your pain, which is just whatever, which is why I wonder if you're going to be weaving in Soul Bombs if you play this build, and Soul Cleaves for their direct heal, and the damage that will then also heal you because of the frailty debuff, which could be fine, but I'm just not sure, because the heal is so weak now, it might not be that good on single target, because 10% doesn't seem that good. It's obviously 10% more leech, right? And you can combine it with the new Soul Rending, which is 5% leech all the time, and then an additional 25 in meta. You can definitely do that. So you essentially have 15% leech at all times, the 5% multiplier, and then the 10% frailty. This is not actually leech, but I'm just calling it that. So that could work, but the jury is out. They might just make Spirit Bomb this weaving talent to get the 10%, but then you're going to still want the actual real heal from Soul Cleave to spend your pain? I'm not sure. Again, all the pain spending and building now is a little bit different. Mostly because you don't have a constant incoming amount, but then less from your abilities. It's just all just from spamming sheer and then putting up your immolation aura. So I'm not sure. That's something that's a little bit strange right now for Vengeance. But other than that, what feels really good now, if you don't want to spam sheer, which again, you have to compete with Soul Rending and Feed the Demon, is the new Fracture. The new Fracture, which is what you combine with Spirit Bomb normally on live right now, this is a totally new ability. It replaces sheer instead of an upgraded version of sheer. It's a rapid slash for a lot of physical damage, and it shatters off 2 fragments instead of 1. Generates 25 pain instead of 10, with a bit of a recharge system behind the scenes, though. Of course, reduces by haste. So this is going to give you a lot more demand to build to your shards, your lesser soul fragments, I guess. But again, it has a delay, so you've got to weave in something else, right? Because otherwise, what are you doing just standing here doing nothing, right? I think a bit of this as well comes down to the tank threat change. And this one is strange. And I think the Fracture build feels fine. Feed the Demon could see a lot of good uptime again, combined with Razor Spikes. Soul Rending is just more with Spirit Bomb, but threat was reduced from a 10 times modifier for all tanks down to a 4 times modifier. So abilities that have high threat generation, in this case, namely Throw Glaive, you're probably gonna have to weave these into your overall rotation to make sure you're still generating enough threat. So the possibility of having the free globals in the Fracture play style actually feels just fine. You throw your Glaive. But outside of that, you're just spamming sheer because you want to build fragments. So I wonder if there's a bit of a divide there, because obviously Fracture competes with 2 other possibly great talents. I'm just not sure where the pain to fragment generation to higher threat rotationing of Throw Glaive and how threat will feel, because you're probably gonna have to use this. But if you've been tanking a lot of dungeons or done any Mythic Plus or just Mythic Zeros and you're playing Vengeance, leave a comment down below and let us know how that feels, how the threat game is playing out, because I don't know. But again, Flame Crash, Fellblade, Unchanged, Burning Alive, Fallout, Immolation's initial burst is a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments as well. This again is lesser soul fragments that interact with the new lesser soul fragment synergy. This is RPPM-ish, I was told, however, though, per cast. Or it's a deck-based system, because again, there's no chance listed. Feast on Soul still has the additional hot on Soul Cleave. Razor Spikes, Agonizing Flames is the movement speed, sprint, and the damage on Immolation Aura, and then Abyssal Strike, of course. Anything else you're seeing here is the same, and if I've gone over it. But you can be a really tanky single target build with like Void, Reaver, and Spirit Bomb, and Soul Rending, and Feast on the Souls. I mean, you can take Charred Flesh to give you more damage done to the targets with your brand on them, so you gain more from the leech and more from the frailty debuff, right? But it's all like triage-y healing. You don't have the Charred Warblade's passive anymore, so you can sort of replicate that in a way. But Vengeance is still Vengeance. It still plays the way it does, still has the talent builds you can play. I mean, I like the Soul Barrier Fell Devastation build because you have those like, oh crap moments that you can react to, because you don't really have anything other than that. If you don't take abilities like these two, they're just kind of smoothly running through the incoming damage, and you don't really have anywhere to react to it other than just Metamorphosis. Whereas Soul Barrier and Fell Devastation give you more reactory tools if you need them, of course. If you don't need them, then you can run the smoother stuff. That's totally fine. But that's Vengeance. That's totally what Vengeance is. It's, I do believe, Preacher said that it was in his top 2 or his top tank for fun. It just plays really well. Versus like a Bear Druid, which is just really in a very boring, stable, but boring state in comparison. So you have options here. You can build things. You have these options around to do so. Of course, the additional mobility of Fellblade is very much still there, or Goomba Stomping combo is also still there. It's definitely fun to do this kind of a build. And you rotate that into single target. and that still works if you like that style, but up to you. You have options. Vengeance Demon Hunter has a good kit overall. The talents are good. It's just the way that lesser fragments now work and then pain generation works. That's the big overarching. Let me go over any GCD stuff real quick. Did I write anything down? Fiery Brand and Soul Barrier are on the GCD. And the Demon Spike has its own GCD, of course, which you saw there. I don't think any of that is really a huge change, other than maybe Soul Barrier's cast. But new Soul Barrier, really strong. War Mode real quick. War Mode is activated in your capital city of Stormwind or Orgrimmar. You gain more bonus honor for killing members of the opposite faction. You will also gain 15% more XP from killing monsters and completing quests, and additional rewards from doing world quests at max level. Going a 10 kill streak, you'll become an assassin for your faction, getting 15% more damage and healing dealt until you die. Killing any faction assassins gives you even more bonus honor. And then you get to have any of these combinations of talents, these 3 here, and of course your medallion style talent, active in the open world in the war mode spaces, which are outside of major cities, and of course PvP islands, arenas, and battlegrounds. This build, Cleansing Flame, is just immolation or dispels all magical effects on you. You can check out WoWDB or WoWhead, of course, for their PvP talent calculators. Make your own possible builds for PvP or for world questing in that regard, because they're kind of the same if you war mode it. But Demonic Trample and Illidan's Grasp, I can't really show off in this video. I have to duel someone. So scrub to the sort of the end-ish of the testing VOD, and one of my viewers and I went back and forth on trampling each other and then throwing each other across the area here we're testing. Because Illidan's Grasp is the 1 minute cooldown where you strangle the target, you dangle them in the air for 6 seconds, but you can reactivate it to throw that target up to 40 yards away. They get stunned for 3 seconds, and they AoE stun 8 yards around them. And you can also take Demonic Trample. You can't make this build right now because they're competing. Demonic Trample is the 45-second meta where you move at 200% move speed for 5 seconds. You knock down all enemies in your path, dealing light physical damage, and during Trample you cannot be snared, but you cannot cast anything. So you can charge people and trample the crap out of them, and then grab them with Illidan's Grasp and throw them off cliffs. The Brewmaster Monk also has a super troll PvP build you can do when you combo this kind of stuff. You can go check that out in the Brewmaster video as well. But tanks in PvP, because of this new war mode system, are going to have some incredible montage footage of kicking people off ledges or into a whole bunch of elites or throwing them into a crevasse. And there's no flying, of course, right now, at least at the start of BFA. So you're going to be, you know, SOL, depending on what kind of nonsense war mode you get into. Or the peel potential is going to be really interesting with tanking in the PvP war mode setting. But go look at, you know, the talent calculators, make your own build, right? You can just take Solitude to add the increased pain generation and attack speed when you're out solo questing, that kind of stuff. Hopefully, if you're not getting yanked or fighting a lot, but go for it. There's definitely some possibilities here that are either really fun or troll or more sustainable in the open world end game world questing environment, of course. But let me know what your build is down below, or of course about the tanking threat stuff as well. But that's gonna be the Vengeance Demon Hunter. It is what it is. It's solid. It's one of the best tanks right now, hence why people are thinking it's gonna get nerfed, but I don't know, we'll see about that. I think other tanks should get buffed a little bit though, honestly. Give Berserk back to Guardian Druids. Just do it. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Of course, if you're new to the channel and enjoy my ramblings, consider hitting the subscribe button. Helps me out a lot on the channel and keep trying to grow the channel during the whole BFA junket here. Hit that bell icon next to subscribe if you want to be notified when a new video comes out. And I am also wearing a Fabelina shirt. This is Lillidan in the Little Final Bosses series. So if you want to support what I do here in a more physical sense by chance, go check out my apparel store. We just launched 2 new shirts. We have the Teutron All Over Fate of a Titan. This is a beautifully illustrated all over print. Has a front and a back. And then we have the new Inspired by Gorilla's Demon Days. This is the Azerite Days shirt by Fabelina that is for BFA hype. There are 4 different versions right now. We're going to add 1 more for sweatshirts and hoodies with or without text, basically in men's and women's sizes. You can customize it and the shirt style and the color of the shirt, whatever you'd like. Obviously get blue because red shirts don't exist. So check those out if you'd like to support what I do here and, of course, help the artists out that I work with in our community make things like this for you. Links are, of course, in the description box down below. But thank you all very much for listening to my rambles. I will see you all in the next BFA Beta Second Pass video.